Yo, we live, MJ.
We live.
We live at the podcast.
Let's do that. Success runs in our race.
Trying to optimize the setup. Hey, what's going on? So this is the aftermath of the UFC 232 John Jones return. I'm chilling with my boy MJ Jones. We are just setting up right now. I just wanted to go live so we can get some pre-show banter. So feel free to connect, talk. MJ, let me just finish grabbing over the rest of the.
What do I say? Did Nunes knock Cyborg the hell out?
Yeah.
Did she not? Did anybody expect that?
I didn't expect it, but I thought she had a good chance if she could just manage the aggression.
I was not expecting it. I'm shocked. Shocked, stunned, surprised. Yo, that light is serious.
Yeah.
That light is very serious.
I mean, that's what you got to focus on. Look into my eyes.
Yeah, you know.
Look into my eyes.
Yeah. You had the perfect setup to video some other stuff in here.
He's funny.
Lights, camera, action.
Funny.
You know what I mean? You can do some
Funny,
things.
bro.
You can do some things in.
Funny, bro. Still got to get that rum for John. Don't think I forgot.
Get the what?
The rum.
Oh, yeah.
So these gonna be your headphones. Bada bing, bada boom.
Are we plugging in?
Yeah, I got you. Just hold it, bro.
Oh, you already plugged in? Oh, this is quite serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not playing. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game. Purple cord is mine. The blue cord is yours. The power is yours. Captain Planet.
Goes on green. Harry looks to take his skills public.
Don't worry, we're going to be on in 5 minutes. Let me get you glass. Glasses. Good. It's key to have your... Got books.
What do we got here?
Zig.
Zig, selling 101. Listen to any Zig in a minute. Show your work.
This is gonna help you. Because one of the things I want to do is always just give value to my guests. You know, as a marketing consultant, helping people.
And I am a client.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely be a bigger client over time. The girl is waiting. Show your work. Great title. It's like what your math teachers used to tell you.
Yep.
We don't know if you did it unless you show your work.
Yep.
10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered.
All right, let me get you that glass. The thing is going live is cool because you can gather some new followers and stuff like that. But in post, I can always add the audio to the video. A little more work, but you know, it's just.
Are you on right now?
Yeah, it's live.
Still on right now?
YouTube is live right now.
What's up, YouTube? What's going on?
You want ice in the room?
Yeah. Hit it with a cube. Otherwise, I'll be in here sweating. sir. Thank you.
Can you get yourself okay in the headphones?
Do I hear myself? I do. I hear myself perfectly fine in these headphones.
Now, what I want you to do is your headphones are longer than mine, so you do that. What I want you to do is talk directly into the front. There's a little dot right in the front.
Absolutely.
You want it to be kind of right in front of your face. It's like like right in front of your mouth point. Here we go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase this. It's set to auto.
Is this clear?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good? Okay.
That's good. Let me see. Let me go to the file. Mm-hmm. There we go. Okay, yeah, so once I hit that,
That's super loud.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you want to turn the volume down in here, I think I can come down. Do. Oh, it's saying I have 25 hours of record time here. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the downsides of having it set to auto.
Mm.
Let me just change that. When you have the sound settings set to auto, it let's see, input, level, auto, off, okay, menu,
And lost all volume.
oh wow, I got 25 hours on this card, okay.
What's 25 hours on?
On one SD card.
Okay.
Because the other thing too is I don't want the sensitivity being so high. So I'm gonna take the sensitivity down, the mics down to about right there. You don't notice you don't hear the background noise?
Yeah.
There we go.
Clear.
That would sound good. Boom. So about 32. Got it on 32 right now.
My mic sounds nice.
Put it on 44. That's my magic number. Put it on 44. All right, I think we're ready to go, man. Let me just come over here to record mode.
And just so everyone knows, we're starting this with no agenda.
No agenda. Never.
No topic at hand.
Never no agenda. Never no topic at
Don't know
hand.
where we're going.
Welcome to another episode of Verbal Brainstorm. Cheers. I got my brother from another mother. Welcome to the show, MJ Jones, real estate entrepreneur, developer, and long time. You in the IT business how many years ago?
Wow. Going back to the 90s.
Back to the
2002.
Back to 2002. And first of all, we want to thank everybody for just listening to the podcast.
Absolutely.
Verbal Brainstorm is entrepreneurship meets edutainment meets motivation.
I like it.
That's how I would put it. That's how I would sum it up for now. That is, due to change over time, but that's the main goal. Entrepreneurship,
but that's a great place to jump off.
right?
Absolutely.
Entertainment. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk that shit.
Yeah.
That shit.
I mean,
We're gonna talk fun. We just watched the UFC fight. John Jones just returned. Amanda Nunes just became the first female dual belt champion, dual class.
wow.
And one of my favorite fighters, despite all of his mistakes, John Jones.
Absolutely.
Johnny Bones Jones, man.
Absolutely.
Been a fan of him since day one. Just skinny black kid, the run to the litter. And so far, he's more impressive than his brothers, and some of them are NFL champions. You know what I'm saying? On his own.
A lot.
So yeah, man. So first things first, man. MJ, tell everybody a little bit about you before we get into things, just so they have an idea. Let's start with the business up front.
Yeah, well, real estate development for 16 years. Funny story, the origin story of that is I was in IT and building a slowly churning development company where we were doing software development, the beginning of web development. This is when the web was just, burgeoning thing on the marketplace. And we were moving with a little bit of progress, and then the market crashed. 2001, right? So, 2000, the market crashed. The tech bubble burst, and then we shifted all of our focus to government contracting, and we were doing okay, right? We did work all over the federal government, state of Maryland, Delaware. We were doing okay.
And real quick, how did you get access to those government contracts?
That's a very good question, my friend.
I listen.
Yeah, very good question.
I listen on the podcast.
Pay attention. So essentially, we initially got started with subcontracting. So one of my buddies at the time, ex-veteran, actually disabled veteran, 8A contract set asides for minority-owned businesses, and then he also was a disabled veteran.
Now notice, listen, a lot of podcasts you watch, the host is just listening attentively. But I take listening to another level, because I got my notepad with me, and I'm gonna be writing these things down because, I am a veteran myself. 90% service connected at the moment, working on that additional 10%. Not just because I want the handicap sticker. It's not for that. It's not for the parking privileges.
No.
I think vets are.
Listen,
you
earned it.
Yeah, earned it.
You earned it. You more than earned it.
But more importantly, as a veteran, I think it's incumbent upon me to really relay the knowledge to other vets, so that they are aware of all the resources and all the routes that they can go to take advantage of the sacrifice that they did make.
Absolutely.
So continue. You said government contract. You mentioned that he was taking advantage of government set-asides for
minority-owned businesses, first of all, and then being a veteran gives you additional privileges, right? So he had the double whammy, and I came along with the technical expertise. I had an incredible, crack team that was.
Now, crack. You're not talking about.
No. I mean, crack is in sharp.
Yeah. So that terminology. That I know that's specific to the
expert
IT
crack team. Yeah.
Like a crack safing team, like safe crackers or
something to that effect.
Yeah, but be careful with that. Everybody don't know that lingo.
I'm hoping nobody's still out there in YouTube world. No.
People still smoking crack.
Oh God,
people smoke
please
crack.
don't say that, man.
People smoke crack recreationally.
Oh God, still.
I've read some studies that show that there are a lot of professional white people using it for energy. They because it's what does it do? It tells you can do anything. It makes you man.
That's scary.
It's really sad. Crack, opioid epidemic. And all this time, weed has been illegal. You know what I'm saying?
That's a whole nother podcast. That's whew. Yeah. So I mean, essentially, that's where we got the start, and even going before that, I worked for Sprint for 2 years.
Okay.
And that's where I a small reseller before Sprint for a year, and then Sprint. So I spent 3 years in telecom and started to understand the telecom information technology integration, and then left there. They wanted me to move to New Mexico, or to Denver, or to Portland, or in Kansas City. And I didn't like any of those locations. And so I was like, I'm out. So left, started my own thing.
Now, was your own thing? Was it a consultancy essentially?
It started as a consultancy. It started as a body shop, right? I saw a window of opportunity to essentially bring contractors in, to do work for startup ISPs, internet service providers, right? So this is 96, right? So I actually launched in 97 officially, but I started, building this monster in 96 and formulating what we were going to do and sort of piecing the puzzle together.
Okay.
Launched in 97, and we ended up working on one of the biggest infrastructure rollouts for any internet service provider in history.
Incredible.
And I had like a team of like 7 or 8 guys working on this. It was for a company that was supporting the first internet broadcast of any like major sport. It was the World Cup in 1998, and it was amazing. That's when I really started to actually pay attention to soccer, because I didn't grow up playing soccer. It wasn't big in our neighborhood.
Not my hood either.
But
That it was baloncesto,
Yeah.
basketball, the football, the baseball.
Yeah. And you were lucky if you got to play baseball. Like, you was lucky.
That's equipment. Wait,
Yeah.
how much
You
is
need
a
a
glove?
bat,
How much
you
is
need
bat?
gloves,
Cleats?
And you need a field big enough where you can
You
hit
need
a ball.
you need those high socks.
Yeah. So that experience was incredible, and so all that was happening before the tech bubble burst, and then when it did, we transitioned into government contracting. So that's where we got into working with cities, states, building apps, what have you. I teamed up with a brother who, like I said, is able vet, and he had an 8A contract, which any minority or woman-owned business can get.
What's an 8-8? What does it stand for?
It's actually just a designation,
Designation.
federal government designation for small and minority businesses.
Got it.
So that 8A is set aside.
8A?
8A.
Okay, 8A. I was looking at 8-8.
No.
8-8.
Number 8, letter A.
Okay.
That gave us entree into opportunities. Now, with that set aside, they're typically small contracts, so you have to get in, perform, so that you can do what you do at an
Do
expert
what it
level.
do, baby.
You got to make it do what it do, and then once you do that, then other things open up for you. So we did, and those opportunities did open up. Needless to say, we had opportunities everywhere. I had a client in World Trade One. I had a client where I used to go there all the time. I had a client there, and we had a client. We were working on a client at the Pentagon.
Wow.
So all of this right before 9/11 happened.
Wow.
So after 9/11 happened, all of my government contracts. My last contract was with Department of Justice. The last contract folded because they took all of the discretionary spending and shuttled it towards top security clearance companies as they were transitioning these independent agencies to Homeland Security. So, they brought a bunch of agencies under the Homeland Security umbrella. And so our little contract, which was supposed to become a multi-million-dollar contract, well, it was, but we hadn't gotten into that final delivery stage. They were like, no, we're not going to be able to do that.
So then what was the pivot for you from there?
It was ugly. The pivot was real estate. My partner in my tech company at that time, he said, come on over to because he was a developer already. One of the youngest black developers in the state of Maryland, DC, Northern Virginia. They built units already. He said, come over to our development company and fix our tech infrastructure.
Boom.
And learn real estate.
Boom.
So I'm in there, building out servers, deploying software and ear hustling, running the projects and listening. And so, I'm sitting in, we're whiteboarding everything and just learning, first the nomenclature, it's a whole different language, right? So I'm learning the language, and then I'm learning the numbers, and I'm learning how to evaluate, going through all of those processes. And so that's how that process, that's how I got from tech to real estate. So it was a really interesting transition. As with any business, it's all about learning how people in the industry speak.
Absolutely.
And once you can speak the language, you can kind of navigate opportunities. And that's what we did. So
Speaking of communications, how MJ and I met is we met on Bumble. This app.
we just had this conversation, bro. We really just had this conversation.
For entertainment. I'm gonna
had
explain this
conversation
Just-
on the business side.
Yeah.
On the business side.
This app, so listen, Bumble has 3 features. It has a dating
I'm
side.
trying to work with my man.
It has a dating side. It has a friendship side, and it has a business side. Guess how long we've known each other, bro?
Man, I don't know, like May, April, something like that.
April. So what was that? 8 months?
Yeah.
Know each other for 8 months now, and it's like brother from another
We've known
mother.
each other for a while. Yeah.
And it's amazing the relationships you can build on a digital platform. which leads me to the plug for my first book that I'm releasing
Ah.
early January,
Okay.
called Super Connecting: The Art and Science of Creating Meaningful Connections in a Digital World.
Dope.
You see, because MJ and I, we only exchanged 3 total messages. He reached out once, I followed up. He came back with his phone number because of my response,
Yeah.
and then we just connected in person.
Yeah.
And we almost became Eskimo brothers, but that didn't happen. These apps that get you in trouble, fellas.
man.
You got to understand.
Dude, that was the funniest
that was
shit
funny.
ever.
It's such a small world.
Dude, that's funny.
But it just shows you how in demand
the brother is.
the brother
brother's in demand out
is.
here. The brother's in demand.
The brother's in demand. It's time for us to step our games up and claim our kingdom. And
Tell the people what an Eskimo brother is, because they may not know. Everybody may not know what an Eskimo brother is.
No, listen. Everything in the podcast will not be explained.
The game is to be sold, not told, baby. The game is to be sold.
Some things you need to go Google on your own and just come to your epiphany. Because here's the thing: when I listen to podcasts, I'm taking notes. I'm even if I'm driving, let me write this note down real quick. Let me pause it. And I want people to do that with this podcast because it's not. This is going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. I'm going to try to make it interesting, but more importantly, you will always learn something. Because I feel like
it's critical.
The concept of LDT, learn, do, teach. My goal in life is to be a master teacher.
Absolutely.
Of many different disciplines because I'm a polymath. I like a lot of things. In life, people always say to you, why don't you focus on one thing? And it's just like, why? I have a lot of interests. So with that, I'm going to be dropping what I like to call golden BBs.
Golden BBs, like gold BBs?
Like BBs, like how a small little BB?
Yeah.
A small little pearl of wisdom?
Yeah. Golden, nuggets, BBs.
I normally, to me, golden nuggets makes
that's
a lot
too
of
big.
sense.
Yeah, but that's too big.
It's a nugget.
That's too big. It's big.
I had a commanding executive officer on my first ship. He was the first Vietnamese executive officer in the whole entire
Navy.
U.S. Navy.
Damn.
And we went to Vietnam.
Of course, and did battle.
No, we didn't go to Vietnam to battle.
Oh, you mean when you were in?
When I was in, we went there.
And he was the commander of the ship.
So that's a major
statement.
It never happened before.
It's crazy.
And he used to always, his English wasn't the best, but he could speak, and he was a smart guy. And he's like, Ensign Johnson, it's important for you to pay attention to the golden BBs that I drop.
The golden BBs.
And that you share golden BBs with other people because that wisdom is what will help people in times of need.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's more of like a Chinese guy's voice.
Yeah, you didn't do the
Vietnamese is tough.
Excellent.
It's tough.
That's all right. We get it.
You get the point. Golden nugget, golden BB. So golden BB, and so what that really is coming down to is wisdom can come in small little doses, and you can inject that dosage into your thinking, your philosophy.
Absolutely.
And it can have dramatic effects long term.
Absolutely.
Because there's a good book that's out that's called Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. And if you think about how small an atom is, it's all about really small changes that you can maintain that lead to long-lasting changes in your life. Mm-hmm. If you try to just change, look, January 1st, there's gonna be a lot of motherfuckers
off the roof
in the gym.
Yeah.
Talking about this is my year.
Yeah.
And no, it's not. It's not your year, because if it was your year, you would have started 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Because you are trying to take dramatic changes that cause such rifts and shifts in your body that you could do it for a month, maybe you could do it for 2 months if you really focus. And you're gonna fall off the wagon. You're gonna have one night out in town. You're gonna be drinking. And then I'm skipping this workout. And then 2 days later I'm skipping that workout. And then, but the other thing and we talked about this briefly, is a lot of people don't understand that the food that they're eating is programming them to eat more and not get the nutrition that they need. So, I offer coaching on that physical fitness level for a select few, and it's not cheap, and it's not something I want to do a lot of, but for people that say I'm finally ready, I want this. That's available. That's available because there's little insights that you got to know. This old man game.
Listen, man, I've been helping people with this I started working out regularly, like 5 times a week, 19 years ago, right? And so I've read everything I can get my hands on nutrition and fitness and physiology, psychology, just to understand if you can master what you put in your mouth, you can master anything.
Anything.
Because we will let our taste buds drive our lives.
Oh man, I can't tell you
Steer
how
us
many
down
times.
the road of death.
I can't tell you how many times I've drove past In and Out, like, you know what, let me make this quick U-turn.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, just keep it 100. Like, you know, normally I don't go to In and Out, but when we was doing the picking up your thing,
Yeah,
week,
the
I was like,
whiteboard, yeah.
I was like, yo, let's hit it.
Let's hit it.
Because I'm like, yo, this is an opportunity.
Yeah,
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, if that's your daily, I remember one time, this was back in the 90s when I worked at Sprint. Fast food restaurants all around my office. I'm at a fast food restaurant 4 or 5 days a week.
Isn't it like a torture chamber where it's like you going to work and then you're trapped, you're surrounded by
Nothing
poisonous institutions. Let's not call them fast food no more. Let's call them
poisonous institutions. Damn, that's real. That's real.
As my mother would say, things make you go,
You know, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. And so I was at McDonald's one day, Roy Rogers or Hardee's, and then KFC, like Popeye, like, you know, all of the.
Ooh,
come
them
on.
biscuits used to. What happened to the biscuits though?
You know,
They used to have them biscuits with the top was rounded.
Yeah.
It was
really buttery.
It was
and
buttery.
Really, you know what happened? They
What?
stopped using real butter.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if we get that recipe and add some real
Add
butter.
real butter back, it might be
Listen, it's all about home brewing everything you do though. Think about that, bro. People that are really fit and lean and in shape year round, they don't mess around with outside food because they don't know what's in it.
Listen, I used to actually, I think I mentioned this earlier, I used to actually prepare my food Sunday for 3 days and then Wednesday for the next 3 days, right? And I might eat out once a week. That was when I was going super hard. I thought I was going to compete. You know what I mean? Thought I was going to be standing on stage.
With the bikini
With the little bikini on. Yeah. I was going to
I'm trying to do a board short competition.
Yeah, no,
in March.
they didn't exist then.
I
You know
know,
what I mean?
I know.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I thought I was going to compete, so I was, you know.
That thong
song. Yeah, I didn't want to do it, but you know. But yeah, so it was, you know, it was like programming your meals in, food prepping, all of those things, and became just what you do. You know, you got a container of eggs, a container of fish, a container of chicken breasts, a container of, you know, so you didn't have to cook, you didn't have to think about it. And it just became just a system, right? And I got away from that. And that's what you kind of have to get back to if you want to maintain a level of not just fitness, but health. Because like you said, like, it's poison. It really is. And some of it we really love. Some of it tastes phenomenal. It's delicious poison. It's delicious poison, but we have to be careful because, you know, essentially, you're pretty much getting no nutrition from that. It fills your stomach.
It fills your stomach, but there's no nutrition.
There's no nutrition.
No nutrition.
Right.
But there's some nutrition, right? The protein.
Yeah, you get some macronutrients,
macro.
right? But no real, like, you don't get necessarily the same level of mineral benefits, vitamin benefits. Those things have been irradiated out of food.
So none of the micronutrients.
No.
Macro, sure, but no micro. And micros might be everything.
They are. Like, I was just listening to a physio. I'm trying to remember what he does, but I was listening to some gentleman speak about this. I listen to so much stuff. I stopped listening to music for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm in a car, I'm listening to something that I can fill my head.
Listen, that's
with
when you know
knowledge.
you're in entrepreneur mode. When it's like your music is like, you know what? There's something I could be learning right now in my mobile university.
In the gym, I usually listen to music, but for the last 4 or 5 days, I've not even listened to music in the gym. Right?
Oh, no,
Usually,
yeah,
I use music to just kind of get you that energetic pump, that feel, and that rah rah.
When you're in entrepreneur mode,
But
you don't get any music because just like you got your own internal, like, rising up, people are high.
You got your
right?
own
you got your own internal drive
yeah.
going, and so you want to fill it with information so that you can sort, sift, and create a opportunity to teach as well as create a leverage place in the marketplace. Because here's the thing, we live in an information age, but information alone is not power.
Listen,
Knowledge is not power.
the practical application
of knowledge
is power.
That's power.
The proper, accurate application of the knowledge you have is then power. because you can know
That
a
note
whole
is-
lot
that
of
note is
things.
fire right there.
You can know so many things. We all know a smart old dude who you might, run into at the family get together or even walk past at the stoop at the corner, and every once in a while you might overhear him saying something that sounds like he's a genius, but he's sitting on a stoop outside a liquor store. Why is he sitting there with that type of knowledge? You know what I mean? Or you can be around somebody who, family friend or uncle.
Hey, young blood.
Young blood.
Young blood, listen, brother. I'm gonna tell you what. I knew way back when.
Yeah.
When the sun hits noon,
I seen it coming.
I seen it coming. but you see, but what had happened was my mom's got sick. You see,
Yeah.
and so I was not able to execute on the opportunity.
Opportunity. There's multiple opportunities. There's opportunity.
Opportunity. And so what I want to do for you, brother, is I want to inject you with the knowledge that I possess.
Yeah.
So that you can be successful where I was unable to. Yeah.
And you know what? The funny part is sometimes we will discount that guy.
That's
Because
true.
we see where he is in life. We're like, I don't want none of it.
Yeah.
But that dude will have some knowledge
Yeah.
that he didn't have the proper application to do anything with.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't apply.
Listen to that knowledge.
Sometimes you can get something from
Look
that
for
guy.
the golden BBs.
The golden BBs.
And say, look, I'm gonna take a couple of these golden BBs. Here's a couple $, brother. Get yourself a hamburger.
So back to the golden BBs. I was listening to somebody and they were talking about colloidal vitamin minerals,
colloidal
silver,
yeah.
but also minerals, right?
Okay.
So and I'd heard, and even my mom was using them. This was years ago. So and they're really good for you, of course, right? It's hyper absorbable. You don't have to worry about just peeing it out or what have you. So when he said that, though, he was talking about the lack of nutrition that we're getting. So he said you need to supplement with this because magnesium, zinc, all of these things that we don't get in our food the way we used to get it when it was grown locally, slaughtered properly, delivered fresh, eaten within a couple of days, and what have you. Like, so if you're a meat eater, if you're vegan, then of course that's something totally different, right? So your vegetables fresh, not covered in pesticides, not genetically modified, all of these things that we now have in the last 25, 30 years. Prior to that time, we could just eat off the shelf and we were good. Like back in the 70s and early 80s, you could go to McDonald's and get a burger and it was real beef.
That's true.
And it wasn't, fed food that was genetically modified.
Now it's forever beef.
Forever.
Forever.
Ever.
It's gonna be forever in your intestines.
Forever.
Like, when does beef come out? 2 weeks later. Hey, was that
Listen, you take your beef, you gotta have like 8 ounces of freaking broccoli with it, and then have a fiber supplement, and then you gotta get it out. Some apple cider vinegar, you gotta get it out of you.
You just put. Listen, I got ACV on my agenda for
Listen,
the
man,
morning.
I take it twice a day,
ACV.
at least once, sometimes twice. Before I go to bed, when I get up in the morning, if I'm getting ready to eat something, because I'm not going to sit here in front for the people live. I will eat a burger. I will eat a piece of fried chicken.
Well, the thing is, when your hormone levels and your nutrient levels are on point, and your fiber levels, more importantly, you can eat stuff off the grid, and you ain't gonna be too messed up.
Yeah, but you can't fill yourself with that.
You can't fill yourself.
Right, so you cannot fill yourself with that every day, like 4, 5, 7 times a week. So you gotta supplement that with some cage-free eggs, some free-range chicken, some fresh caught fish. Don't mess with that lake farm raised fish. Don't do
they
that.
just in there like sardines.
Don't do that. Don't do it.
I don't think fish drown, but that was the sound.
That was how fish drown.
It's like it's not enough water around them to get air. They just like, yo.
It's so many chemicals in our water.
All right, so before we get too deep, because the Verbal Brainstorm podcast, we could just go for hours.
Yeah.
I think eventually it's going to be a really long form podcast because from there you can cut out snippets the way they do with the Joe Rogan experience. Not that I'm trying to compete with Joe Rogan. He's one of my mentors, idols, whatever. But let's talk about this UFC fight real quick. Listen, I don't even want to talk about John Jones right now because he just proved that whether you think he cheated with drugs or not, he's just a better fighter than you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the drug test, that basically said you You took something into your body that was banned. It did not give him a competitive advantage from the fact of having skills. What it did was it might have given him energy, or it might have helped him recover from something. Or
Sure.
he might have used it because he was injured. He had the toe injury. He had this injury. You know,
Yeah.
these types of things linger,
Yeah.
right? And so you try to find a way to get over those handicaps potentially. But come on, man.
Well,
Come on, this dude's skill level
well, here's
is
the
insane.
thing. Here's the thing. I got two things. Because first of all, with John Jones and UFC 232, he was found positive for
You mean before 232?
right before the 232. He was found
This was
positive.
230.
This was 232. So right leading up to this fight, leading up to this fight, he popped positive again for 5 picograms
I did not know this.
of Trenbolone,
I did not know this.
the metabolite for Trenbolone. Here's the thing.
The metabolites.
So that the remnants of.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. 5 picograms. Let's look at 1 picogram. 1 picogram is taking a grain of salt. Take a grain of salt, and then split that grain of salt
Wow.
58 million times.
Are you serious? That's a picogram.
That's 1 picogram.
58 how many?
58 million. A grain of
Why
salt.
are we even talking about
Why are we even talking about it? And so
it? I want to know what type of what was the magnification they had to use on the
Well, I think what happens is somebody
In
gets
the
up on his balls.
laboratory.
Somebody gets up on his balls and they go, "Hey, John, I need you to cough."
listen,
No, but here's the thing. Now, here's the thing.
that microscope
Listen,
was
the
vicious.
the testing has come a long way. But here's the thing. Why are we even testing people at all? You don't think
They're all using it.
you don't think that professional athletes are using every advantage
Blow your mind.
possible?
Blow your mind. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say his name, but a buddy of mine who's a world champion
Okay.
fighter.
Okay.
Everybody knows him.
Mhm.
Vicious. Won a few titles. Told me everybody takes it. He said some guys get caught and you never hear about it.
Hello.
He said you never hear about it because they know who to pay.
Why? And see, the thing is, but why are they even testing at all? Why can't you put whatever you listen?
And it blew my mind when he said some of the names that have been caught.
Listen.
Some of your favorite fighters. Your favorite
Listen.
fighter's favorite fighter.
Listen. In
Blew
real,
my mind.
listen. A lot of these, you know where steroids come from? Do you know, MJ? Like where they come from? They come from us wanting our troops to be better than the enemy's troops. Everything from modafinil. Have you heard of modafinil? Modafinil is that need. Modafinil is that. You ever seen that movie where the dude Limitless? He takes the pill and he can just remember everything and he can stay awake for days.
Super sharp.
So that comes from modafinil,
Wow.
which is a real substance, and
That's heavy.
it was given to fighter pilots
Damn.
because you want them
They need to be alert for 10, 12, 18 hours.
right, but you want them in the zone, in the pocket,
Yeah.
no fear.
No. Yeah. Listen, you can have no
Missile
fog
walk,
when you're a fighter.
no
pilot.
fog.
No fog.
And so, but guess what? World War One, World War Two, the Germans
And the Russians.
trying to create super soldiers.
Super soldiers. Yeah.
They're like, we know we are short in
Superior.
numbers.
Yeah, but we're gonna be superior.
So we're gonna be superior. So we gotta try to create this advantage. And that's where it comes from. It's like, listen, it's life or death. We need to be able to take our warriors and turn them into unstoppable zombies. So you don't think that if it's good enough to win wars, that people are not gonna take it to go fight and to me, UFC is fighting, football is fighting,
Yeah.
hockey is fighting, basketball a little bit softer, but still physical
Yeah,
enough.
physical, but not as
But-
brutal.
Yeah, but you don't think that these guys have clear incentive to just take this stuff? Now here's the thing: if LeBron can play 5 more years at the top of it, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I like watching him play.
Yeah.
So if he needs to take something to do that, if it's his choice, then as long as we're not forcing people to take steroids or take enhancements. But I think that every person every man and woman of sound age, sound mind should be able to choose for themselves what they want to ingest
What they wanna put in
for
their
their life. Because listen, we want to create this whole war on drugs, and the war on drugs was just a farce to just incarcerate black people.
That's a whole nother problem.
Right? That's a whole other problem.
Wow.
So I know,
That's-
but because of that, we're nitpicking who's taking what to recover faster. Like, who cares?
I mean, the
Like,
only thing that it really does is it enables your body to heal faster, and to recover faster.
But
you still have to work out. You can't lay on the couch. And,
but here's the greater point that I want to get at in terms of this John Jones thing. If two people are both, no one's taking roids, no one's taking enhancements, so to speak. You and I are still not equal physically. We could be the same weight. One of us is stronger than the other, guaranteed. There's not exact strength. One of us is greater intellect. I'm probably smarter than you, MJ.
You just might be. I'll give you that.
No, I'm just joking.
I'll give you that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, two fighters, you're not both the same intellect. You're not the same speed. Everything, there's all of these variances. So, what the hell is one variance of someone is being smarter with their nutrition and with their intake than the other person? Just unlock it all, because then we're going to see everything at the top level, and you're going to see the highest of highest performances of everything. Now, some people want to take it to the point where they almost kill themselves. People almost kill themselves weight cutting.
Dude.
Like cyborgs.
They kind of do.
They kill themselves.
Because if you fight 2 or 3 times a year, and you're dropping 30 pounds, 25 pounds, that's bad for your heart.
That's bad for
They've
your
done
heart.
science. They show that when you cut your body weight that much on a regular basis, it's unhealthy. It's unsafe.
Which is why
Wrestlers, boxers.
why on the insurance questionnaire they have you lost more than 10 pounds this year? Hello.
That's heavy.
They want to know if
You do
if your
yo-yo
weight is-
guy.
if
You fluctuate. up and down
fluctuate.
because it makes you a heart risk.
It makes you a risk.
Yeah.
So how about we just let people take whatever they're gonna take? Let them be supervised by doctors.
It has to be supervised. It has to be supervised. It has to be covered, and it needs to be as safe as possible. Because one thing that I believe in is that not just nutrition, but whatever you put in your body that's going to affect how your system functions, you need to be very careful with that.
Absolutely.
Because you can definitely cut years off your life. We were talking about bodybuilding.
Hello,
earlier.
but look,
You know.
with the alcohol, there's people that don't know when enough is enough.
Listen,
This
is killing more people than
This
steroids.
and cigarettes,
taking them out.
taking them out.
And
this is
nowadays
legal.
this is killing far more than cigarettes, because a lot of people have quit cigarettes, but they stopped drinking. You want me to not drink?
That's my point. So we live in this super hypocritical society that doesn't even have the best interests of the people.
And this is dangerous.
This is dangerous.
So you can only do this every once in a while, under supervision.
Right? You need
have
supervision. This kills people, man.
This takes people out of here. So you gotta.
While I take a sip.
While you take a sip. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean we have to do everything with some balance, and we have to definitely do things under control. But I think what happens, with sports and athletics is most of the time, the sports that you see that get heavily judged, heavily policed, so to speak, are sports where people of color dominate those sports. So you'll see boxing, mixed martial arts, a little, right?
Mostly melanated,
Latino,
people.
Brazilian,
Brasilia.
black, everything. Basketball, football, baseball, right? Baseball is heavy Latino, right? You got, football, 72, 75%, African American. All of these things. Once again, a supplement, and we're not even talking about injecting a steroid, we're talking about supplements that they banned because they say they give you a competitive advantage. I'm sorry, I still got to go to the gym and lift. I still got to eat. I still have to sleep. I still have to recover. So the only advantage this gives me is to help me rest and recover so I can hit it again tomorrow, because you're demanding that my body gives you a certain level of output.
Yeah.
So you're demanding that, I'm trying to give you that, and then you're going to fine and penalize me for it. So those are the places.
But here's the thing. Ultimately, what it represents though is that life isn't fair, right? And we want to try to pretend as if we can arbitrarily make it fairer.
Yeah.
You spend all this time worrying about people using drugs, using listen, The Rock, Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, these guys have created careers based on their physical,
being huge,
and we know that they were using drugs.
Yeah.
So
all of them that big.
So they were then the role models for everybody from the 80s until right now, and you're telling men that you're not of value unless you look like this. But these guys,
Whoa.
we're not gonna take them down.
You just touched on something else.
Hello?
You just touched on something else.
Hello? What did I touch on? Tell
I
me.
had this conversation with a female a couple of weeks ago. Like, we're talking about the pressure that's put on women, and it's totally legitimate to look a certain way, to fit a certain archetype, and no one ever talks about the pressure that's put on men to fit a certain physical archetype. That archetype is V taper shape, muscular abs, like it's hilarious. It's like
and there's a lot of roly polies out there.
It's a lot.
A lot of roly polies out there.
Now you do see some big husky guys with really fit women, but that's not the norm.
But and I think they're doing like a hack, like the girl is like, well, he's bigger than me. Sure. Even though it's not fit.
And some women like big guys, husky guys, right? That's cool, but it's not the norm.
Usually
you see
they feel protected, although who can he really protect himself?
You can lay on somebody.
But if you
lay on you,
if you run on him for a couple rounds,
if he grab you though, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's not to say that it doesn't manifest itself the same way as it does with women, but you get these guys that are we caught that though. You get these guys that are that get bitter because they're not fit, they don't make a lot of money, and then they think that's the reason they can't get a girlfriend, or they think that's the reason they can't get a date, but they're not working on their psychology, right? So their mentality is inner game, right? They don't understand how to communicate with the opposite sex, but they don't feel good about themselves because they don't fit the archetype, that masculine, muscular, fit model that, that's just abs out, strong, wide, that they don't fit that. So that's an issue as well. We all fall victim to some type of sort of archetype that people want to put you in.
Absolutely, societal archetype. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I offer some coaching for men. And it's all around game. Physical game is one aspect, mental game, inner game, outer game, your business game. If you don't have resources, why are you even trying to date somebody? Because it costs money. I mean, even if y'all going Dutch, it still costs money. It still costs time, effort. You're still buying outfits. There's things that you're spending money on. And so build yourself up first. And then create some residual streams of income that can help fund your fun life.
Oh, listen, when the recession happened and there was no real estate movement, I didn't date anybody. I spent about 9 months, 10 months by myself.
Let's be friends.
Yes, sir. It's real. It's real.
I ain't trying to pressure you. Just can't stop thinking about you. Cause I'm broke, so I know we can only be friends.
Friends. It's real.
Girl, I know this might be strange, but can I invite you over for some dinner and change?
It's real. So it makes sense. You have to bring something to the table.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to bring something to the table, and it's funny because, I come from the time where men took women out and paid everything, right? That's kind of how I was brought
Yeah.
up. That's kind of how I was
Yeah,
raised.
yeah.
You
And how
pay
you-
for everything. You
how
do
you-
everything.
how
You
you
cover
feel now
everything.
about it? How you feel
Yeah, I'm
now
not with
about
that shit. No, I'm not with that at all. I'm not with that. No. And I'm okay with it on like the first date. I'll pay for it.
Okay.
You know, by the second date, I want to see what you do. I'll pay for the second. Your third, because the first date is usually like some drinks. I'm not dinner on the first date. I'm not dinner because I don't even know if I want to spend that much time with you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know yet. Like, I'm going to give you like that first hour to see if I really like you. Now, it's funny because I've done this a couple of times, and there were several women that after that first 45 minutes, I knew we was never going to eat together. So I was happy it was just drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, okay, it's cool. Okay, great. Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. Great.
I'm not even going to front like I'm going to call you.
Lovely meeting you.
Great meeting you. Have a good
like
night.
to,
Walk
like
you
to
to your
wish you a
car.
good night.
Yeah. Have
You'll
a
be
good night.
good.
Yeah. I go this way. You're over. Okay. You good? You're in the car. All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm
Wonderful.
out. Because you just know. So if you're spending like $80, $100, $120 on dinner, and 2-3 glasses of wine a piece, yeah, you $120 in, and you realize, oh hell, I don't ever want to see this chick again. That's a problem. You know, you do. Now I did that. This is back right after the recession started to come out of the recession. Like, you could spend $600-700 a month just trying to figure out who you want to actually spend most of your time with.
Listen, relationships, whether people, and this might sound callous, but relationships are businesses.
It's
And so how many failed businesses has your potential partner been a part of?
what was the name of this podcast?
Verbal
brainstorming. Listen, this is the storming part.
This
This is the part where it's about to get stormy.
Yeah,
because
verbal brainstorm.
you're about to listen. It's about to damage some people's
Well,
sensibilities.
listen, it's about education.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that relationship is the most important business of your life.
Man, it's the most important business of your life.
Of your life, and people are taking it too willy nilly. And listen, I've been guilty of it. Like I've been, just throwing away
So
investments.
So guilty.
And you know what? I've been reminded recently by this girl that I'm getting to know, right? That she's only been in 3 long-term relationships. And so in her mind, she wants to take it really slow, get to know, before she makes a significant investment of time, which is money, time and money, right?
Absolutely.
And I totally respect that. And while listen, I'm a free agent, so I can date whoever I want at this point in my life. It made me think about that. Like, you know what? Maybe I've been too willy-nilly, just looking for connection and pleasure versus really assessing the business potential of this partner. Because it's not, listen, if you have kids, that's cost.
Yeah.
And you're investing in them so that they can be something more than what you were.
Absolutely.
So that your family can be better off. And so when you think about meeting women, and it's like, a lot of women just want to have fun. I see women's profiles like, I'm looking for a guy who can make me laugh, and who's intelligent, and who's entertaining, and can show me around. I'm new in town, so I just want, and it's like, so girls are just looking for somebody to just like pass the time with. And it's
But they will never tell you that.
I know, but you can read through it with the statements.
Do the statements.
And so my thing is, and this is, listen, we live in LA. So this is a very transient town. Like, I've been here for 5 years. I'm here. I'm in it. I'm committed to being here.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot of people that are here for a year or two, and they're going back to Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Going back to Ohio. You know what I'm saying? They're here for a year. Oh my God, it's too rough out here. They're not committed to the grind.
Listen, if you miss one of those Cleveland winters, you never want to go back.
Right? But they go back because they really wasn't built to it wasn't built for the long term. It's a different move.
And it's a different vibe. The energy is different. The people are different. It's funny because even the women who are from other places who say they're not like the typical LA girl become the typical LA girl once they're here for a while. They move the same way. I've watched it. I've experienced it. You know what I mean? You know, it's there's a sort of a hallmark of the quote unquote stereotypical LA woman, right? And so she's materialistic, and she's this and she's that, right? And she, listen, That's just any woman or guy who's after that particular thing. I don't care where you're from. That thing. Yo, you got the samples on deck.
I got the samples on deck. I don't even need a machine for that. That's
No,
all
you're
me.
just ready.
That's all
You're just
me.
ready.
But yo, MJ, I really I was thinking, because my mother used to tell me, even when I was like a teenager, Jamal, don't be out here just spending money on girls without seeing that they're actually interested and committed to you. Like, yeah, but it's hard because if you don't spend and then they think you're cheap and then, but you know what? Well, the biggest thing my mother told me was, Jamar, first of all, get good with self. Be okay.
That's critical.
Alone.
That's critical.
Take time to be alone.
Man.
And when you do that, you are going to start to learn about who you really are, what you desire, what you want, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with. And it's not about creating this endless list of things, but it's about just knowing
who you
are, and then I can accept this or I cannot accept that.
Knowing what you can and cannot accept.
And I think for too long, I've accepted a lot of things that even myself I needed to fix, but especially in others that I didn't find attractive. But I was like, you know what? She's about 40 pounds overweight, but you know what? She's got a nice personality. The reality is, nothing against big girls.
No.
But am I going to be ultimately happy with someone who has given up on that aspect of their life?
No.
I'm not.
You're an athlete.
Right?
You're not gonna be happy.
I'm not going to be happy. And I remember when I was in college, I dated this girl. I won't say her name.
I was about to say, don't do it. I was too low. I was too slow.
I'm not going to say her last name though.
Yeah.
But and she was
I thought I was petty.
she was thinking the right. No, she was thinking the right places. I found her attractive, but she was always complaining to me about what she wanted to improve about herself. So then I would say, well, why don't you come out? Let's go on a run together. And then she would go and then just cry the whole time and complain the whole time and I'm like, what? No. And so we dated for almost 2.5 years in college. And when we graduated, in the South, what people do is they graduate college, they get married soon after or get engaged soon after. It's a very
feel like it's what they're supposed to.
Exactly. But I knew to myself, I got to get away from this because I'm not going to be happy. She was
You knew that then.
I knew
that was
then.
amazing because at 22, 23 years old, most of us don't recognize.
But I wasn't that young. I graduated college 23, almost 24.
Still,
Yeah.
most people, I would say sub 28, don't really recognize what they're gonna be happy with long term.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, I recommend I've been doing this for a long time now. That people who are friends of mine who are younger, people I've mentored, like, don't get married before 30. Just don't do it. I got married.
What age?
At 23.
Whoa. That's young.
Hold on. I could be wrong. 22. Wow. Before I turned 23.
You still a boy.
I was a boy. But, I felt like I was grown, right? I'm still learning who I am. At the time, I didn't realize that. My oldest daughter was born 11 months later. So now I'm a dad. So I gotta move. I gotta move fast.
And
I gotta
self-discovery.
I gotta run this corporate ladder. I gotta build this business. I gotta do all of these things because I've gotta chase this dream for my family.
Get that paper.
For my family, right? So not knowing what I was doing put me in a situation of not paying attention to who I was doing it with. So I'm in this relationship with somebody that I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't even know this person. I think I do because I spend much time with them. But that doesn't mean you know them. You know what I mean? And it's funny because you can get comfortable even at an older age when you know yourself and know what you won't put up with. And you can really get into being with somebody and sort of excuse, oh, that's not that big a deal. She'll this or he'll grow out of it. No, who they are is who they are, right? We have to recognize people for who they are. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It might just mean that they're a bad fit for you. Because I just went through that after almost a year and a half with somebody. Having all these conversations about what we were going to do together, not realizing that I didn't even know this person's psychology. I'm seeing it, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll deal with that. We'll work with that. I still have some things I have to work on. Nobody's perfect. We'll figure it out. No, when it's rubbing you the wrong way, you know, when it's like you say, this is not, I'm not gonna be happy with this. You know, I don't care how much you're attracted to the person. It's not going to work. That part, real life is not attraction. Real life is day to day. You roll over and wake up like, why am I with you? That's not a good feeling.
Not a good feeling.
That's not a good feeling.
And that's always been one of my greatest fears. And I want to thank my mother for just really instilling in me self-confidence, belief in self, self-exploration. Therapy has been a part of our family since we were family therapy,
That's
individual
amazing.
therapy.
Yeah.
Then also just self-care, understanding yourself. I recommend, and I have been doing, any advice that I ever give is advice that in that moment I'm also giving myself to reinforce, right? LDT, learn, do, teach. You gotta reteach yourself too. So I need to get back into my journaling. And also I have a book my mother gave me years ago for my birthday. It was called How to Love Me. And it's a book of questions that you answer yourself so that you know where you stand on a lot of these different issues and philosophies.
Take a note on that.
Yeah, I'll send you that book.
Yeah,
There'll be a link in the show notes, of course, to buy these books through Amazon for those interested.
Yeah, that's critical.
And you know what? I still have the book. I have to finish filling it out. See, the thing is that self-homework, if you never actually do it, are you actually doing yourself a service? Now, back in 2014, I was working at a startup, office job, inside sales, ninja. I was killing the game, but I took my game to a whole nother level after listening to a Napoleon Hill audiobook. Napoleon Hill was giving an audiobook. It's like, you've got to take this advice to heart. It is important for you to listen because most of you will go home and you will not get success.
Yeah.
And the reason why will be because you did not take this to heart.
You must whiniest voice, but he was so wise.
He was so wise and so lit. He was like, and the lesson is you must know the purpose of your life. If you know the purpose of your life, then everything starts to coalesce, everything starts to coincide, everything starts to be, it seems serendipitous, but in fact, it is the fact you have told the universe what it is that you desire, and the universe is here to provide for you your desires. That's all this whole universe is for.
You know what he was telling us? He was in, I think he wrote that in like 1930 something.
Yeah.
Right. I think you talking about.
Well, I'm not even talking about the book Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about, I have an audio
system
with him speaking.
Yeah.
And it's a series of lectures where he was
outside
actually
of
talking
Think and Grow Rich.
outside of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you've got to do the work on yourself.
You know, when people
He was almost like Hitler. He's like,
you've
got to
he's almost like him.
respect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's comical, but he's basically talking about quantum physics.
Ooh.
He's basically hinting.
No, I have a book on that.
Dude, listen.
I have a book called
I went down the rabbit hole this
Power versus Force. Have you heard of that book?
year. No, I haven't, but I'm going to have to get that one
Drop
too.
that book.
Yeah, I'm going to have to
Power
Power
versus
versus
Force.
Force. But listen, I went down the rabbit hole this year for like the last 8 months on the quantum plane and how we have far more control than we would ever imagine over having what we want in our lives, right? And
The world is yours.
The
Who
world-
the world is this? And see, hip hop artists have known this because they literally took nothing and made something, bro.
Listen,
Shout out to my brother,
listen.
Grease Baratelli. Just got out the cell.
Wow.
Christmas Eve.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I got mad love for you, my youngest brother, man.
That's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Talented musician. Look him up on iTunes, Spotify. Grease Baratelli.
Beautiful. I mean, it's hip hop does something that most music doesn't do. It gives you a higher plane of fantasy, a higher level of visualization. It's like when they're talking about diamonds and gold and $400,000 cars and the best restaurants and the best houses, and you walking through and you seeing how somebody, people are like, oh, that's just a waste and it's opulence. But there's more to it than
There is more.
because you had nothing.
You had nothing.
You were sleeping on the floor in a room
roach infested,
roach
rats
infested, but you saw in your mind
in your mind.
that
I visualized the places that I would go, the people I would see, and the things that I would do so I could be me at the top of the tree.
That's a freestyle.
If you're rolling with me, we're going to get to the paper opportunities.
That's a
Because
freestyle.
I go hard on the boulevard.
That's a
knocking on
freestyle.
doors, asking if they want my service, we going to pull it hard. You know what I mean? Like, yo.
What was the name of that? What was the name of that?
Power versus force.
Power versus force.
Yo, we spitting that hot fire.
Listen.
Yo, this is Verbal Brainstorm. Thanks for tuning in. You can follow me on Instagram at Jamar J and Twitter at Jamar J. My website, my personal website is IamJamar.com /Go Giver if you want to see what all of the philanthropic work that I'm a part of. And then UpMind Media is my digital marketing agency focusing on Instagram, Facebook ads, email marketing, and more importantly, influencer marketing. MJ, how can they find you? How can they be in touch with you?
Man, I've got to get my social media game on point.
That's what
I am. This is exactly. But I'm on Fix Flip Funds on IG. Fix Flip Funds on IG.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to get my social media.
Yeah. Because we're about to share this with the world. Yeah. Listen. We going into overtime now. Because guess how long we've already done 57 minutes.
I had no idea.
No idea. But we going into
quantum
overtime.
physics.
Let's go into quantum.
Let's
before
leave
we,
with that.
No, that's not. We got like
we got time?
with it. We got time.
Okay.
But because I got mad space on this memory card. I got 24 hours on this memory card. But what's up with, speaking of quantum physics, before we get into that, what's up with your boy Neil deGrasse Tyson getting me too?
Oh, it's painful. It's rough.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know all the details.
I don't know
I've heard
all
some
of them, but I
it.
heard a little bit, right?
He's just weird.
But he's a scientist.
Touching girls.
Most of those guys.
Can I follow
are
you?
weird. Most of those guys are weird.
Where does Pluto go?
Exactly. Like you got the universe on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Where does this wind up at? Where do we finish this? It's awkward, and I'm sure it made her feel uncomfortable, and he shouldn't have done it. But it's not Harvey Weinstein.
No, it's not.
It's
not.
He's.
I don't know if he. I don't want to use the phrase harmless because we don't know. I thought Bill Cosby was harmless.
Until.
What the dude?
Yeah, no. Listen, it was hard to even believe that.
To the back the room.
"Quote unquote" America's dad.
America's dad.
It was hard to believe.
It's hard to believe
he was that foul.
It wasn't hard to believe.
It was hard to believe in the beginning.
It was
in the beginning when it first started to unfold. For me,
I was like, he's a freak nasty.
freak nasty, baby.
Freak nasty.
Freak nasty. There's nothing wrong with freak nasty. It's in my DNA, but I'm not illegal freak nasty. We don't want to poison anybody, drop anybody any drugs. But yeah, that was unfortunate. It was beyond unfortunate. When you have that many people coming out, it's like, whoa. It's like this is, oh God. It shouldn't take but one, but
whoa.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened to even one person. But when you have a whole line of people saying, yeah, me too, like, oh my God. Yeah. And I'm a father of daughters.
You got a daughter as well.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's just like, man, we gotta create a better world.
It's gotta be a better world. So, it's one of those things that I pay close attention to because, that's a hero. Bill Cosby, somebody you look up to. Neil deGrasse Tyson, somebody you look up to.
So before we get into quantum physics, let's just talk about this for a second. I think that two things: emotional intelligence, EQ, has to be risen. It's not taught in school. EQ is not taught in school. It's one of those things you're just socially supposed to pick up on it, but no one's teaching people about it. So two things. I think that this is why there are a bunch of young men flocking online and watching videos by pickup artists because they are filling a void, the void of mentorship. And I just did a TED Talk about this about 2.5 weeks ago called Mentors or Lighthouses. And it was all about the importance of mentorship in your life because mentorship shortens the learning curve. And so you got these kids who are going from a school environment all the way through college, right? not getting properly mentored on relations, which I think they used to probably get this type of guidance from church because everybody was, but nobody's buying church anymore.
Listen, they weren't even getting into church.
So if
It wasn't coming through your family, like,
Yeah.
if you didn't get emotional development, because your EQ is based on how emotionally developed you are.
That's true.
How well socialized you are.
Sure.
So if you're not properly socialized through your family environment and immediate social environment, then you're considered sort of like a social pariah. You'll get into an environment where you have to communicate a certain way with men or women, and you'll be the awkward, odd person.
Yes.
Because you don't have those skills, and so I think a lot of people are not. Most people get it. Like most people figure it out along the way.
Sure.
But some people, I think, and it starts when you're a child. If you have certain deficiencies in your environment or certain emotional deficiencies, because this might sound funny, because you weren't held, because you weren't hugged, because no one said I love you, right? Or at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've listened to people talk about never being hugged.
Yeah.
And you kind of gotta imagine how damaging that is. Like they've done studies with babies, you know, in hospitals where, you know, the babies that get hugged are well balanced, emotionally balanced toddlers and then children, and the babies who had no one to hug them, they grow up and they are damaged. They are psychologically damaged, they're emotionally damaged, they're fragile. Some of them go on to become sociopaths, right? So all of that stuff is just physical touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Touch is so important.
Super important.
Speaking of touch, a shout out to my massage therapist. Once a week, I gotta get serviced. It's important to
Shout out to the massage
feel
therapist.
his hands
That's the funniest.
all over my body.
All
over my body.
So true, so true. I was going once every 2 weeks and then I fell off. Yeah, I was a member of Massage Envy.
Yes.
Like I love that spot.
That's one of my spots, and then I got to another spot. And I want to start using that Soothe app.
I have not used that yet.
It's a little bit pricey, but they come to your house, so they save you time, and you know what I mean. But you know, because it's just in the comfort of your own home, because then you never know what could pop. Oh,
Listen, when I had a bachelor spot, I was gonna put the table up in the dining room. I didn't need a table, and I was gonna put the massage table in the dining room. But yeah, I mean that's.
So what do you think? So let's talk some solutions here. What do you think? There's a lot of guys, like you said, who haven't been socialized properly. What would you recommend for them to work on? How should they start developing themselves so that they can learn how to see the signs and the signals? And let's be honest too, a lot of women don't clearly communicate with words what they want from you. It's like they'll be like, if you're kind of nice enough, they'll keep you around, but oh, he's nice. I don't know. Maybe something could develop. I don't feel anything yet, but maybe.
No, I'm gonna tell you. I just really believe this. This is personal. It's personal belief that if you're trying to have some type of physical relationship with a woman, and it doesn't happen early, it typically won't happen, right? And I'm not saying you have to sleep with a woman on the first date, but if you got all of this sexual energy for somebody and she's not reciprocating that back, she's not feeling you the same way. So you should not keep investing your energy in her because it's just going to make you frustrated. If you need to continue to date other people and find that balance on the other side from somebody else, because if you got all of this attraction for this woman and you don't feel it coming back, it's going to be awkward, right? So you need to see signs that she's, and they will be obvious. Like you can read any book, blog, or what have you from, somebody, a dating coach or a woman who talks about dating. They'll look at you a certain way. They'll refreshen their lipstick after dinner. They'll twirl their hair. They'll touch you. A woman will touch you. She will physically touch you when she likes you, when she's interested in you. For no reason. Her hand will be on your leg. Her hand will be on your arm. Like there's just little signs. You know what I mean? And if you make an effort to get physical and you're rebuffed, then you have to assess that rebuff. Like, is it just too early? Because if it's just too early, she'll let you know, like, I'm not ready. But if she's not into you the same way, she's gonna be like, I don't like you like that. You know what I mean? So you clearly know now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can't just hang around. I know guys who they have a whole storyline in their head. They've never even attempted to kiss this woman, but they're like, yeah, I know she's the one. I'm like, how do you know she's the? I've had this conversation like 4 or 5 times with friends over the years. You know, younger dudes.
Oh,
younger dudes, like, usually like maybe 10, 12 years younger than me. Like, yo, like, how do you know she, like, you've never kissed this woman. Like, you've never even, like, held this woman. How do you know she's the one? You don't know anything yet. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like some people, and I think it goes on both sides, will have conversations in their head about a thing. And I think those are the ones that are not properly socialized. Because what happens is you'll create a storyline that it's going to go this way and it should be that way. And then when it doesn't, your world crumbles. And then you sometimes get those who lash out and do the wrong thing. In that moment of pain or frustration or rejection, they'll lash out and do something that they should not do. That's totally horrible. So, you know, and the other thing is, I think guys who come across, you know, you might have a buddy who you know is weird, you know is awkward. You've been in situations with females with him and he says or does the wrong thing. You have to go, yo, bro, like, let me talk to you for a second. Like, we have to kind of, this is how we move. Like, you know, and have a little bit of a conversation. You may not be able to school him on communication with the opposite sex all in one setting, but sometimes we kind of have to take it upon ourselves when we're talking to somebody and we hear them way off the reservation. Men, you know, iron sharpens iron. Let's pull other men into the circle and go, yeah. Hey, listen, champ, no, that's not what she meant. You know, she meant this. You know, she didn't mean that. This is what she was saying. This is why she did that. What did you do before she said that? Oh, that's why she did that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. These are the ebb and flow of the male-female interaction will tell you a lot, you know, if you just kind of sit back and dissect it a little bit. And sometimes you'll deal with somebody who's just really awkward. And, you know, I've had a couple of buddies that just really awkward. And it's like, dude, why did you say that? Yeah. why did you just try to do that? Why did that happen? You know, so sometimes we need to, you know, grab, each one teach one, right? Grab somebody like, bro, let me just help you with this.
You want to go fast? Go alone. You want to go far? Go together.
That's heavy.
Right?
That's right.
And you made me think of, so there's a book, one of my next books that I want to write is all about the purple pill. You know, the Matrix had red pill, blue pill. Red pill is wake up, mm-hmm. Blue pill is stay asleep. Yeah. Purple is knowing that other people are more asleep than you are. So if you're too woke, it can feel kind of lonely. So purple pill is walking between both worlds. And within that, there's a concept that I have, which could also be a separate book, but it's MAC, MACQ, MAC tactics. And MAC stands for method, action, confidence, and emotional intelligence. That's what the Q stands for. Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence. As being the key foundation for you to go out in the world and be successful in business and in all your relationships, both with whoever. Yeah. EQ is so important. Yeah. One of the important questions from a methodical standpoint is just understanding how people communicate. Because if you prefer to communicate at a certain frequency rate and a certain platform, the digital world is so vast that, you know, you could be connected with a girl on 4 different platforms, right? You can have a phone number, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, if you do that, or email, right? So there's at least 3 to 4 platforms that you can be connected with a woman. Yeah. Now, how you choose to interact with her is crucial because you need to know what is her preferred method of communication with you. Mm-hmm. Whether or not she's on there talking to other people or whatever, that's not you. Mm-hmm. So from a methodical standpoint, you need to be able to ask that question. So you go, I'm really enjoying getting to know you. Let me ask you a question. Do you like to talk on the phone, or do you like to text? What's your favorite way to communicate with somebody? And then she'll, I don't mind text, for like things like just like planning meetups and things like that. But in terms of getting to know somebody, for me, it's either face to face or it's on the phone. And then like, okay, now if you really want to get to know her, reach out to her on that platform to get to know her. If you're texting her, it should only be to solidify plans, because otherwise all that energy you're expending could be frustrating her, that you're texting her and trying to get to know her via text message, because that it doesn't register for her as an effort that she deems filling up her respect tank.
Absolutely.
Right? You got your love bucket.
Absolutely.
You got your respect tank.
Yeah.
You got all these different buckets, and it's important to understand what bucket you filling up. If you're trying to fill a love bucket up, but you filling up the disrespect tank.
or you're filling up the friend jar.
The friend jar, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
like
friend jar.
Yeah, the friend jar. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're putting stuff in different compartments where they shouldn't be for the objective that you're pursuing.
Exactly, and I like that you use jar, because if your objective is to have a love bucket with a woman, but you're filling up the love jar, you need that friend jar. You need to understand that jar is small. You need to understand. Let it overflow quickly so you can move on. If that's how you're looking for.
Yeah.
The friend jar.
The friend jar.
Love bucket. The respect. What's the respect should be what? Respect.
The respect box.
The
respect glass. I don't know.
The respect safe.
Respect safe.
Right? It's just different. I like that. That's what I'm gonna work on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good.
That's
bit.
gonna be in the book.
It's gonna be in the book and a bit on stage.
On stage.
It's gonna be a bit on stage.
I think something you said earlier, and I'm gonna make sure I recall it right.
I love how we brainstorm.
It's critical.
Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a natural flow.
Natural flow.
But yeah, we do this when we talk. But it's critical that when you communicate, it's personal opinion. When you communicate with a woman, you don't communicate with her in the same way that everybody else does. So if she normally texts everyone, you need to talk to her on the phone. If she hits her friends up on IG all the time, you need to text her. You need to call her. Like, you need to be in person. Like, I don't do social media. I'm trying to do more social media because of you. Because you're bringing me into the light, right? But I'm not a big, social media guy. But it's one of those things that I think that personal relationships are built personally. They're built with voice and presence. You know what I mean? A lot of people are trying to have a real life relationship, and they're building it on somebody else's software platform. Ooh. That shit doesn't work. It just does not work. I know married couples who hit each other on Facebook. Why does the world see your comments about each other? Ooh. And it's cute, it's funny, people laugh at it, but you're married, right? I get sometimes it's a comedic effect, it's a comedy, right? But really, you're having a conversation on Facebook for the world to see in the comments. Should not happen, right? That's going to lead to the degradation of the privacy of your relationship. The world gets to see that. You know what I mean? And so all of these things that now exist that didn't exist 25 years ago, and people wonder why, like there's been videos made about how Facebook or IG or what have you have destroyed relationships. People wonder why, because you put your business out in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? So if you're getting to know somebody, if you're trying to really get to know someone, do not slide in their DMs. Like, that's cute, it's funny, right? You know what I'm saying? You might get the date, don't stay in the DMs. Like, don't keep hitting somebody over the DM. Like, either get the number, get in person, go move on.
No, it's a good strategy.
Because it's
a good strategy for business too. You should be escalating the relationship to the point where you can at least get face to face or video face to face. Yeah. So that
because you can't close.
You can't close.
You can't close unless you face.
Not a high ticket.
Not a high ticket. Not a
low
high
ticket.
ticket. Low ticket. Yeah, low ticket, low value.
So listen, before we get up out of here, I just wanted to make sure I drop a couple of promotional things I'm doing before the year ends. As you know, we're heading to 2019. It's right around the corner. If you are interested in growing a service-based business. I focus on digital marketing with Up by Media
Yes.
and the ability. Last week, I think I pulled in 3 new clients.
Beautiful.
So
Listen,
if
you
you want,
gotta follow this guy.
listen, follow me at Jamar J. But seriously though, if you're interested in a 3 client a week model that you can replicate for digital agencies or just service agencies or even affiliate agencies where maybe you don't even do any of the work, but the opportunities come your way and you pass them through your entity so that you get a cut, you get a commission on that. I'm happy to take you through my UpMind Mastermind program. So reach out to me on Instagram at Jamar J, or send me an email, ceo@upmindmedia.com, and we can start talking about that. Well, what I'll do is I'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call with you so that we can just talk about what it is that you do in digital marketing, right? There's a ton of information out there. You can go on YouTube and learn for years about some of this stuff. But if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So, I have mentors and people that I have, paid for coaching with because I wanted to not get a shortcut, but I wanted to know what is working and what doesn't work.
Definitely.
And so if you're interested in that as we head into 2019, you need to create a side hustle, but you want something that's efficient, that doesn't have you driving 10 hours a night or 10 hours a week with Uber and Lyft, making menial wages per hour. I'll just tell you this. Last weekend alone, I had a gig. I did 45 minutes for $350 plus travel. So let's just say $500. If you want to start making $300 to $500 for an hour's worth of work, that comes with a specialized knowledge.
Absolutely.
And so my coaching program with Up My Media and my Up My Mastermind is all about that. And with that, I want to drop a quick plug to on Instagram, Originals Nation. I went to one of their meetings last week. Originals Nation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to economic growth for melanated businesses nationwide here in the U.S. And I went to one of their meetings, and they dropped a presentation. Shout out to Tommy Johnson, a brother that helped found the organization. We actually went for a hike at Baldwin Hills last week and really just connected and just got to know each other as brothers. And we talked about, during his presentation, he showed some slides, and he talked about how Black people in America have been able to progress in terms of financially. How we went from being slaves to sharecroppers, to home workers, to factory workers. Then factory workers, then we were able to get some education, and then we went to, specialized professionals. And then the ultimate level for a professional person is what we call a consultant. Consultants on average get paid the highest per hour than any other profession, because it's a specialized knowledge and a specialized application, which is your individual know-how and your special way of mixing things together, the secret sauce, so to speak, that can really help a business. And I believe it's a Showtime show with, I can't remember his name, it's slipping my mind at the moment, but there's a Showtime show that's all about a consultant, and they make it...
Management consultant, House of Lies.
House of Lies.
Don Cheadle. It's not on anymore, but it was a funny show, hilarious show.
But it's interesting.
Management consultant.
Yeah, but it's interesting that people, they make fun of being a consultant because they make it seem like you're just telling lies and you're not actually providing service and value. And what that actually is a misdirect. Because if you watch that show, then you start to build this picture in your mind that, all consultants are bullshit. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth.
As a matter of fact, they were very successful on the show at helping companies. The bullshit came in the actual sort of soap opera-ish way in which they had to steer companies and how they helped companies manipulate industry and that type of thing. But the need for somebody who can step into your environment and take sort of that 10,000 foot view, and then
I say 30,000 feet view.
30,000, and then drill down all the way to ground level, right? And then essentially dissect everything that you do and then rebuild it. Like,
Yeah, that's his value. That's his value added.
Yeah.
So, I bring that up because I want to be a straight shooter and tell you that, listen, everything you need to learn in the world is available. It's for free. You could go to YouTube. You could go to the library. Spend your hours, or you can work with somebody who's already doing it, right, at a moderately successful rate at this point. I'm not going to make any wild claims, but I remember maybe 10 months ago when my Instagram following was maybe 3,000 followers. And I was at that point at a $2,000 a month level, monetizing my following. If that's something that even is remotely appealing to you, then maybe we should at least have a discovery call so I can show you how at Jamar J.
What are you at now?
I mean, I'm probably easily at least 5K for the last month. I haven't done all the calculations.
And your numbers are three times that.
I'm at 10,000.
And I had no
followers.
Instagram followers, and you've helped me.
Yeah, and I helped you.
Thousands.
Yeah, thousands.
Yeah, so.
But the point is, I have more leads that I can potentially create partnerships with than I know what to do with.
Tremendous.
At this point in time.
Tremendous.
So every day I'm having 5 to 10 new conversations with my new followers. And some of them I'm scheduling calls with, some of them I'm meeting for coffee. Things are happening because I have a surefire way of not only growing followings, but also connecting with influencers, creating influencer campaigns. It's just, there's so much happening in that world. It's one of the fastest growing spaces. So if you think about a service-based business, what's so amazing about it, I know this is a long commercial, but this is important.
Yeah.
What's amazing about a service-based business is that it typically doesn't require a lot of overhead to get started.
I was an IT consultant first.
Yeah.
Right.
And you took your specialized knowledge and you applied it.
I didn't write any code. I didn't actually deploy any networks.
You just knew how to connect.
Yeah.
What needed to be
knew
connected.
what needed to be done, and I understood how to business process re-engineer. Right. So I understood how to look at a situation.
Yeah.
And how to improve it.
Yeah.
How to take it from A to B to C and so on.
Yep.
And so that part was my secret sauce. Understanding how to re-engineer the environment.
Absolutely.
And then how to lay technology over that new process to make it more efficient. Right. And to make
And
it automated.
that's what I do here at Upon Media. Just I do it on a digital marketing capacity.
There you go.
And with that, there's mindset, there's connections, there's knowing the right places, the right tools, and then there's the power to put it all together to make that gumbo.
There you go.
Make that gumbo.
Make that gumbo.
So I just wanted to put that out there that I have a model that I'm developing that is how to get 3 clients a week. And 3 clients a week, to put that in perspective, is anywhere between $250 to $1,000 per acquisition.
Nice.
So if you could just acquire 1 client a week at $250, that's $1,000 a month. Would that help you? So that is what I'm talking about. And listen, I follow people like Gary Vee.
Oh yeah.
He gives great general advice.
Yeah.
But he's not giving you the in the trench advice to really launch.
Yeah.
So if you want someone who's going to partner with you and help you launch, and
you
help
can
you
call.
be successful,
You can email.
that you can call, you can email, we can FaceTime, we can video call. That's what I'm offering with my coaching program, which runs alongside my consultancy. Now, if you just want my services, happy to service you.
There you go.
Right? UpiMedia.com, you can reach out. I've got some automated links there where you can schedule some time on my calendar. But I just wanted to put that out there as 2019. The goal for 2019 is to make $250,000
There you go.
in revenue for my agency alone. Along with, I've got additional streams of revenue in various spaces, like the Green Rush space, which is taking advantage of hemp and how that's been legalized commercially, and how you can make money with CBD oil. But more importantly, if you obtain a skill that can pay the bills,
There you go.
you can transfer that skill and apply it to a bunch of different places. And as we move more and more into the gig economy, would you rather be sitting in a car for 5 hours a night at $25 minus expenses, or
really $18,
$18
$17
with a hurt back, picking up drunks vomiting in the back of your car, picking up drunks vomiting in the back of your car,
rude
smelly people, you know, people kissing in the back of your car. Would you rather be doing that, or would you rather be learning a skill that allows you to digitally touch someone with a tap, create a relationship, and end up creating influencer campaigns for brands that do everything from dental to massage to fitness to you name it. Whatever your interests are, you can literally just dive into that niche and become the expert in that space. That is the opportunity that I present for you. And I just wanted to make that available.
Absolutely.
As we head out of here, but before we go, I was networking at a Cheesecake Factory a couple weeks ago, and I met this gentleman he called himself an image consultant. And I was like, So first of all, consultant, I was like, yeah, he's smart. Yeah. He's using his specialized knowledge. And the reason why I brought up Originals Nation is because Tommy talked about it. Consultants make the most money. Yeah. Consulting is ideas and sales and solving problems. It's bringing that together to solve problems. And what an image consultant does, essentially what he does is life coaching, but within his life coaching, he focuses a lot on how people see themselves, both internally, externally, how they dress, and then helping them through their emotional, all of the stuff that you just mentioned, of people not getting hugged enough, all of that stuff. And that's what life coaching tends to be, but he just calls it image consulting. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. The bottom line is, in this, as we move to the future, don't just be an information worker. Don't just be a knowledge worker. Be someone who literally can solve problems with their ideas and become a consultant. Because no matter what else you're doing alongside that, a consultant is you maximizing the time you have when you're not doing that thing that's your main thing until you can make consulting your main thing. Yeah. That's the ultimate time freedom. Yeah. Because guess what? You can consult from Zoom calls, from the phone. That's right. You can do that anywhere. Yeah. And get paid a pretty penny. And not be tied down to a desk or to a seat in a car that you think you own, but you really don't. And I just see too many people that's pushing that Uber around thinking that they getting ahead, but they really pushing themselves backwards. And I want to change that as 2019 moves forward.
Uber's about to go public and be worth like $100 billion. So
and how much are the drivers getting?
I don't think they have stock options.
No stock options. And so as pensions have gone away, planning for your future. Listen, I literally, and this is the last thing I'll say before we wrap this up, it broke my heart. I got a text from a friend who told me that a friend of hers was just diagnosed with breast cancer. Could she get some insurance?
It's too late now.
It's too late. It's too late. So that's yet another vertical that I've worked in for over 4 years, which is the financial service area. And I will tell you, planning is super important, but I don't even talk to clients unless they have at least $250,000 liquid between investments and
you've leveled
savings.
Up. You didn't start there.
Yeah,
but now you've leveled up.
Leveled up,
and that's what you're trying to help other people do.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that key question is the thing that I realized I had to start asking, so that I wasn't spinning my wheels as a consultant and knowing how valuable my time is. And so I'll leave you with that. IamJamar.com is my personal site where you can get to know more about me and the philanthropic work that I do over at IamJamar.com/go-giver. You can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JamarJ. Send me a message, send me a DM, or always respond. And upmindmedia.com is my agency, my digital agency. MJ, where can they find you?
Fix Flip Funds on IG and fixflipfunds.com as well.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We know we got to do this again. We got so much to cover. We had a couple books up here.
We didn't even get to them.
We didn't even get to them. I had Zig Ziglar. I've got Show Your Work. Show Your Work. Listen, before we get out of here, Show Your Work is important because rather than simply trying to become a content creator, just become a content documenter. If you document, that's a far easier task to pull off. And then it's just a matter of not holding so tightly on to what you think you want to release and trying to make it be perfect. Just let people see all the blemishes. Listen, this podcast tonight wasn't perfect. I mean, I was perfect. You were okay.
Yeah, I did my best.
You were great.
I did my best.
I was a little
You're a
haphazard.
professional. You're a professional.
I'm a professional. Listen, man, I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities. I've been communicating on a professional level for going on 21 years now.
Tremendous.
21 years. Started off at 18 at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Put the link in the description box. And that was the first time I ever spoke. So I knew
At 18.
At 18, I knew that communication was going to be my future. But it took a lot of life to live, and so I've lived a lot of life, and now I got stories to tell, and I got interesting people that I've been fortunate to meet. So MJ, from the bottom of my heart, man, brother, I really want to thank you for doing this podcast.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to doing it. You know, 3 months from now, let's talk and let's see how far along things are with your progress as both a marketer for your business and the things that you care about, as well as all your business aspirations and your beautiful daughters. And listen, this has been a pleasure. This has been another episode of Verbal BrainStorm. IamJamar.com. Holla.
In the end, you went to you gave him the quiet storm voice. You gave him, hey, Jamar.
How much time you think you did?
Like an hour and 20.
Hour and 30.
Damn.
Easy, light
That was
work.
crazy. The only way I know that is my ass is hurting from the
Yeah.
start.
Right? So that's the thing. You
Other than that, though, it went fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it went fast.
Yeah, I gotta get something.
First, when I sat down, it was cool.
Yeah.
But after an hour, your ass started
I gotta get some cool chairs for.
But yeah, no, that was
Some
cool.
nice little
That went pretty fast.
Pretty
And we
fast.
did jump all over the place. You could edit that and give them like 3 different joints.
If I
You know
wanted
what
to,
I'm
but
saying?
that's just don't make it more work for yourself.
Yeah.
Just put it out as that one unit, and then look. Oh, we still live on YouTube.
still live.
What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, nobody is even awake watching this.
Nobody
I'm pretty
awake.
sure. Let me see how many. We did. It says an hour and 2. No, it says 102 minutes on here.
It's
Cool,
hour
brother.
42
Well, we did it.
Yeah, that joint was went pretty good.